Ryan's fist crashed through our living room door, and everything in my world flipped upside down. I was still holding the anniversary cake, candles dripping wax onto the floor, when Madison, my wife, darted past me to fling the door open. The music was still playing. Sinatra, her favorite. Everything was supposed to be perfect. But there was Ryan, tall and smug, pushing into our apartment like he owned it. He didn't even look at me. His eyes were glued to Madison. "I told you I'd come for you tonight," he said, voice dripping with arrogance. Madison just smirked, letting her hand linger on his chest, right in front of me. My mouth dropped open. For a second, I thought I'd wandered into someone else's nightmare. The apartment spun. "Ryan, not here." "Not now," Madison hissed, but there was no fear in her voice, just impatience. "Ethan's still here." Ryan shrugged. "Let him watch. I'm done waiting." The shock didn't hit me right away. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing, my wife, on our anniversary, letting another man put his arm around her waist in our home. I dropped the cake. It smashed on the tiles, pink frosting smeared across the floor. Madison didn't even flinch. "I'm leaving with him," she announced, voice flat. You should have seen this coming. Everything blurred. My hands clenched. I wanted to scream, to punch, to drag Ryan out by the throat. But all I managed was a hoarse, "Are you serious? On our anniversary?" She rolled her eyes. "Grow up, Ethan. At least Ryan knows how to treat a woman. I'm tired of pretending with you." Ryan grinned, leaning into her, whispering something in her ear that made her laugh, a cold, cruel sound that stabbed me right in the gut. I could feel my whole life dissolving right in front of me, and the worst part? Madison looked almost bored. Like I was an inconvenience she'd finally gotten rid of. That's when it got messy. Ryan shoved me aside, grabbing Madison's hand. I snapped. All the weeks of suspicion, all the late nights she'd been working late, all the whispered phone calls in the bathroom, it exploded inside me. I lunged, slamming Ryan into the wall so hard the mirror shattered. He swung back, knocking me to the ground, then pinned me there with a knee to my chest. Madison stood back, watching, smirking as if this was the entertainment she'd been craving all along. I heard voices in the hallway. Our neighbor, Mrs. Grant, was screaming for someone to call the police. I saw the blue and red lights flash outside just as Ryan yanked me up by the collar. "You're done, Ethan. Madison's with me now." The door burst open. 2 cops rushed in, shouting commands. Madison started crying on cue, like she was some helpless victim, her mascara running, voice trembling. "He attacked Ryan. Please, he's dangerous." The cops pulled us apart. One of them found a bag of pills in Ryan's pocket, his face went white. Within minutes, he was in cuffs, getting dragged down the hallway. Madison turned on me, eyes blazing. "This is all your fault. You ruined everything. I hope you rot alone." The officers stared at her like she was insane. I stood there, bleeding, heart pounding, and realized nothing would ever be the same again. Freeze frame, that's the moment my real story begins. My wife's lover getting arrested in my living room, our anniversary ruined, my life in pieces. How did I end up here? Let me take you back to where it all started. You know, people always say hindsight is 20/20. That night with the cops, Ryan in handcuffs, and Madison spitting venom at me, I realized how many signs I'd ignored, swept under the rug, or explained away to keep my life together. But now, replaying every moment, it all made disgusting sense. It started subtle, Madison's mood swings, her sudden obsession with her phone, the way she locked the bathroom door even when she was just texting a friend. She'd laugh at texts during dinner, then shoot me a look if I glanced over. When I asked what was so funny, she'd roll her eyes. Just Rebecca, complaining about her job again. She even changed her phone's passcode one night and made a scene when I asked why. "You don't trust me? Maybe you're the one with secrets." Ethan. I wasn't stupid. But I was tired. Tired of fighting, tired of second-guessing every word out of her mouth, tired of lying awake at night wondering why my wife felt like a stranger sleeping 3 feet away. And then came the late nights at work. She'd come home after midnight, reeking of expensive cologne that definitely wasn't mine. The guys at the office are just friendly, she'd laugh, peeling off her coat and dumping it on the floor. You should try it sometime, making friends. She said it like I was some pathetic loser she was forced to put up with. I tried to confront her once. Just once, before everything exploded. I found a text on her iPad, just a preview on the lock screen. Can't wait to see you tonight, M, with a stupid heart emoji. I waited up that night, watching the front door, ready to finally get answers. But when she came home, she just grinned, tossed her purse on the sofa, and brushed past me. You're still up? Cute. She went straight to the bathroom and locked the door. I sat in the dark, fists clenched, listening to her shower and hum. That was the night I realized, I'd already lost her. Madison had checked out of our marriage months ago. I just hadn't wanted to see it. The next day, I started watching her. Really watching. Every lie sounded rehearsed, every excuse rolled off her tongue too easy. Rebecca needs me to cover for her shift. The team's celebrating a promotion. I'm too tired, maybe this weekend. The list was endless, the pattern so obvious now I hated myself for missing it. But the smoking gun came 3 days before our anniversary. Madison left her laptop open, screen glowing. I saw a calendar invite, anniversary, Ryan's coming. No last name, just Ryan. It hit me so hard I thought I'd puke. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, fingers numb. Was this a joke? Was she really planning to bring her lover to our anniversary? I tried to breathe, to think, but the room felt smaller and smaller. I wanted to smash the laptop, scream, anything to break the pressure in my chest. Instead, I took a screenshot and emailed it to myself. Proof. Cold, hard proof. But even then, I hesitated. Some part of me still wanted to believe she'd deny it, come clean, say it was a mistake. That she'd beg for forgiveness and we'd fix everything. I was an idiot. The next days were a blur. Madison was distant, already gone in her mind. I barely slept, my brain running through every possibility, every memory, every red flag I'd missed. My stomach was a knot, my nerves fried, but I told myself I'd wait. Wait until our anniversary. If she showed up with Ryan, I'd know. And if she didn't, well, maybe there was hope. Turns out, there was nothing left to save. But back to that night. When Ryan crashed through my door, grinning, and Madison let him touch her in front of me, all the clues, all the lies, slammed together like a puzzle snapping into place. I'd been played for a fool, by the woman I thought I knew best. My hand still stung from punching the wall after the cops left. Blood ran down my knuckles, but I barely felt it. All I could see was Madison's face, the smug, bored look she wore as Ryan was dragged out in cuffs, like the whole world was just one big inconvenience to her. She didn't even flinch as our anniversary went up in flames. She just scoffed and grabbed her purse, headed for the door as if nothing had happened. I slammed the door shut behind her. You're not going anywhere, Madison. Not until you tell me the truth. All of it. She spun around, arms folded, expression pure ice. What truth, Ethan? You want to know why I'm leaving? Why I'm sick of this dead marriage? You want me to spell it out? I tried to steady my breath, heart beating out of my chest. You owe me that much. Was it just Ryan? Or were there more? She smirked, cocked her head, and shrugged. What does it matter? You're not exactly a prize, Ethan. Ryan is just the first one who bothered to show up. Maybe if you spent half as much time on me as you do on your stupid work, I wouldn't have needed to find someone who actually pays attention. It was like a gut punch. She wasn't crying, wasn't begging for forgiveness. Just doubling down. You think you're a saint, she sneered. You let this marriage die years ago. I just didn't want to go down with it. I clenched my jaw. So, you humiliate me in front of half the building? On our anniversary? With a guy you've been sneaking around with for who knows how long? She actually laughed. You always wanted excitement, Ethan. Well, there it is. Maybe now you'll finally wake up. My blood boiled. How long, Madison? How long have you been seeing him? She took her time answering, as if savoring the chance to twist the knife. A year. Maybe more. Does it really matter? It's been over for a long time. You just refuse to see it. I stared at her, rage and disbelief mixing with something colder, a growing clarity that this wasn't the woman I married. The Madison I knew was gone, replaced by someone mean, vindictive, and reckless. She started pacing, snatching up whatever valuables she could stuff into her purse, jewelry, cards, cash. Don't think I'm leaving empty-handed. You can keep your precious memories. I'll take what's actually worth something. That's when it really hit me, she was done. No remorse, no shame. Just pure self-preservation. If you walk out that door, Madison, don't ever come back. I mean it. She paused, looked me dead in the eye, and smirked. Don't worry. After tonight, you're on your own. For a split second, I almost lunged for her, desperate to make her understand what she was throwing away. But then, something inside me snapped. I was done. Done begging, done chasing. I watched her walk out, heels clicking down the hallway, not looking back once. I sank to the floor, surrounded by broken glass and pieces of our ruined anniversary. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, "She's with me now. Don't bother calling." That was Ryan. The audacity was unreal. I smashed my phone against the floor, heart pounding with a mix of fury and freedom. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt awake. Betrayed, sure. Humiliated, absolutely. But something in me had changed. There was nothing left to save. Only the ashes of what used to be. The next day, I'd wake up to more chaos, but right then, sitting in the ruins of my old life, I realized Madison had freed me in the worst way possible. Now it was my turn to decide what happened next. The next morning, sunlight cut through the apartment, slicing across broken glass and frosting stains on the floor. It felt like waking up after a car crash, quiet, but everything was smashed. I stared at the ceiling, the empty pillow beside me reminding me this was real. Madison was gone, and for the first time in a decade, I had no idea where she was or what she was doing. My phone was dead, shattered from last night. The apartment felt hollow, every echo reminding me of her absence. I stumbled into the kitchen, poured myself a cup of burnt coffee, and tried to wrap my mind around the wreckage. My hands shook. The shame wasn't from losing Madison, it was from letting her walk all over me for so long. It was the humiliation, the neighbors who saw everything, the knowledge that I'd been living with a snake in my own home. The text started as soon as I opened my laptop. First, my best friend, Tyler. Dude, what happened last night? The cops were outside your building, and people are talking. Are you okay? Tyler always had my back, but I could sense the disbelief even through the screen. What was I supposed to say? Hey, Ty, my wife brought her boyfriend to our anniversary and I broke his arm. My mother called too, of course she did. Ethan, is everything all right? You know you can always come home. I hadn't told her anything, and already the gossip was spreading like wildfire. I ignored most messages, just scrolled through social media, numb. But then one post stopped me cold. A neighbor had posted about the drama in 8B on the building's Facebook group. Police, screaming, and some guy in cuffs. Someone's marriage exploded. My face burned. My private humiliation was now a public circus. The door buzzed. Tyler, looking pissed and worried. He stepped inside, took one look at the mess, and shook his head. Man. You want to talk about it? Or just smash stuff? He never did settle. I told him everything, voice flat, leaving nothing out. Ryan, Madison, the anniversary ambush. When I finished, Tyler's jaw was clenched so hard I thought he'd break his teeth. She's insane, bro. And Ryan? That guy's always been a creep. You should have tossed him out a long time ago. It was the first time I laughed in days. Tyler's bluntness was a relief. I tried. The cops got there first. Tyler slapped me on the back, grinning. At least you broke his arm. That's something. But the laughter faded fast. Reality crashed back in, bills, shared accounts, memories scattered all over the apartment. I couldn't escape Madison's presence, even with her gone. Every photo on the wall was another knife. I tore them down, dumped them in a trash bag. If she wanted to erase me, I'd erase her first. That afternoon, I started canceling credit cards, locking down accounts. Madison tried to log in, got flagged for suspicious activity. She called, furious, her voice crackling over a borrowed phone. You can't just cut me off, Ethan. I need money. I didn't yell. I just listened as she ranted, calling me every name in the book. You made your choice, Madison. Live with it. Then I hung up. For the first time, I felt a flicker of power. Her panic was my justice. But it wasn't over. That night, I heard her outside, crying in her car. She'd run out of options, her friends didn't want drama, Ryan was still in jail, and she had nowhere else to go. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But I left her there. She could enjoy the life she'd fought so hard to claim, alone, cold, and desperate. The bridges she'd burned were ashes now, and for the first time in years, I was finally standing on the other side. It's wild how fast a life can reset. Just days ago, my whole identity was Madison's husband. Now, I was just Ethan again, angry, humiliated, but finally waking up from a long, bitter dream. I threw myself into action. No time for tears or nostalgia. I wasn't going to let Madison's betrayal be the final chapter. First step, lawyer up. Tyler drove me to a law office across town. I walked in, still reeking of last night's chaos, hands scraped and raw. The attorney, Julia Carter, was sharp, efficient, and didn't ask for my life story. I showed her the proof, screenshots of texts, the calendar invite, even a security cam clip from the hallway that caught Ryan entering our apartment. Her eyes widened just enough for me to know I wasn't crazy. She nodded, making notes. You're doing the right thing, Ethan. She has no case here. Let's get you protected, now. That phrase, you're doing the right thing, hit hard. For so long, I'd let Madison set the rules. I'd let her belittle me, lie, even erase my existence in her own life. But now it was my turn to draw the line. Julia filed the paperwork for divorce that afternoon. Clean break. No more shared accounts, no more access to the apartment, no more hiding. I went home and changed every password. Closed joint cards. Even called the building manager and had the locks changed. Madison tried calling again, 3 times, each angrier than the last. I let them all go to voicemail. Meanwhile, Ryan's situation was spiraling. Turns out, the pills in his pocket weren't just for fun. The police called me for a statement, and I gave them everything, no hesitation. Watching his smug mugshot on the precinct's website gave me a satisfaction I didn't expect. The real man Madison had picked was facing felony charges and a broken arm. Good luck with that, buddy. I expected Madison to come crawling, but she went full scorched earth instead. She posted on social media, spinning the story like she was the victim, blaming me for years of neglect and abuse. Her friends messaged me, demanding explanations. Some of them even believed her. I didn't care. Let her try. The truth was in the texts, the calls, the pictures. Let her squirm. The apartment felt emptier by the day, but I filled it with new routines. I boxed up all of Madison's stuff and set it by the door. Tyler came by with a 12-pack and a baseball bat, offering to smash up anything that reminded me of her. I almost agreed, but decided instead to donate everything. Let her memories haunt someone else's closet. Nights were hardest. The silence was new. No more Madison's heels clicking on the hardwood, no more "I'll be late" texts, no more half-hearted small talk across the dinner table. Instead, I sat on the couch, finally able to breathe, and realized I wasn't lonely, I was just detoxing from years of her poison. The best part? I started to sleep. Not the restless, anxious naps I'd known for years, but real sleep. I woke up one morning, sunlight on my face, no nightmares, no panic, and I just lay there, smiling. Freedom felt weird, but it tasted good. Of course, the chaos wasn't over. Madison kept calling, sending texts that flipped from rage to begging and back again. "I'm homeless because of you. You ruined my life. Please, Ethan, just let me inside to get my things." I forwarded everything to Julia and ignored the rest. I wasn't her safety net anymore. Word spread through the building. Some neighbors stopped me to gossip, others to offer support. Everyone knew what happened, nobody cared about Madison's sob story. The real story was out, Madison had gambled everything and lost. And me? I was finally starting to win. Madison had always been a master manipulator, but she'd finally run out of cards. Now she was living out of her car, circling the block, hoping I'd cave and let her back in. But the more desperate she got, the stronger I felt. The days of her controlling me with guilt, shame, and mind games were over. One morning, as I left for work, I spotted her asleep in the passenger seat of her own car, makeup smeared, hair a tangled mess. She looked nothing like the woman who used to spend hours perfecting every detail before stepping out. It was almost pitiful. Almost. But pity was a luxury she'd never offered me. I called Julia, my lawyer, and asked if there was any way to keep Madison from coming near the apartment. "She's technically homeless, Ethan, but she's got no legal right to harass you," Julia said. "If she steps inside, call the cops. The restraining order's almost done." I thanked her and hung up, feeling lighter already. At work, word about the anniversary disaster had spread. Some co-workers were awkward, others sympathetic. My boss, Mark, pulled me aside. "If you need some time off, Ethan, take it. We've all heard the story. Just, don't let her drag you down, man." His bluntness was oddly comforting. The craziest part? For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid to just be myself. No more walking on eggshells, no more rehearsing conversations in my head. I started eating lunch with people I'd ignored for months. Tyler got me back into pickup basketball on Saturdays. The world that Madison had shrunken down to her drama was expanding again, fast. Then, out of nowhere, Ryan's wife showed up at my building. Her name was Ashley, tall, sharp-eyed, all business. She showed me a folder full of printouts, messages, screenshots, photos of Madison and Ryan at cheap hotels and bars all over the city. "I'm divorcing him too," she said. "I just wanted you to know, you're not alone in this." I thumbed through the evidence, feeling the last traces of doubt vanish. "Thanks, Ashley. Sorry you're caught up in this mess." She smirked. "Don't be. Ryan's a disaster. Madison's not much better. I'm just glad it's over." We swapped stories for an hour, each revelation nastier than the last. Turns out, Madison and Ryan had been plotting to run away together, using my money, my car, my apartment as their launchpad. Ashley laughed. "Joke's on them. Ryan's in jail, Madison's broke, and you and I get the last laugh." That night, I slept better than ever. I wasn't the victim anymore, I was the survivor. The city felt different, brighter, like I'd finally woken up from a long nightmare. The next morning, I found Madison at the front door, slumped against the frame, sobbing so loud the neighbors peeked out. I didn't let her in. Instead, I called the cops. "She's trespassing," I said, calm and steady. The officer nodded, escorted her away without drama. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes, not anger, not contempt. She was truly alone. A week passed. My apartment was cleaner, my bank accounts were safe. And my life was mine again. I met Ashley for coffee once, just to share updates. We joked about writing a book, How to Survive a Cheating Spouse. I told Tyler about it and he nearly spit out his beer laughing. But underneath the jokes, a new confidence was growing. I realized I didn't miss Madison. Not her smile, not her voice, not a single thing about the woman she'd become. She'd burned every bridge, and now she was stranded on an island of her own making. I changed the locks again, for good measure, and tossed her last box of junk onto the curb. No more second chances. No more pity. The city was full of life, and for the first time in years, I was ready to step back in and start living again, without fear, without shame, and without Madison. A week after the chaos, things should have started to settle. But Madison just couldn't let go. The cops escorted her off the property, but 2 nights later, I caught her rifling through the building's trash, digging for anything she could salvage, old mail, maybe a forgotten credit card slip. She looked wild, unhinged. I snapped a photo and sent it to Julia, just in case. The next morning, I got a call from the precinct. "We need you to come down and give a statement," the officer said. "Your wife's ex-lover's case is going to trial." I almost laughed at the word lover. It sounded so cheap now, like something out of a trashy soap opera. I put on a clean shirt, combed my hair, and went to the police station. I was done being the guy everyone pitied. Now, I was just a witness to a train wreck that wasn't mine anymore. The detective asked me about the night Ryan got arrested, how Madison let him in, how she tried to play the victim, even as the evidence stacked up against her. I told them everything, every lie, every insult, every time she threw me under the bus to protect herself. Afterward, Julia called with an update. "Ryan's facing jail time. And Madison? She's burned so many bridges, I doubt she'll even find a lawyer willing to take her side. You're in the clear, Ethan. Divorce is all but done." It hit me then, this was the end. Not just the legal battle, but the whole warped chapter of my life. No more mind games, no more late-night panic attacks, no more waiting up for someone who never planned to come home. The relief was so strong it felt like a physical weight lifting off my chest. Tyler dragged me out for drinks to celebrate. To freedom, he toasted, raising his glass. And to never dating psychos again. I laughed harder than I had in months, maybe years. For the first time, the ache in my chest felt lighter. Maybe it was the whiskey, maybe it was the sense of closure. Either way, I didn't care. I was alive again. The next morning, I got a message from Ashley. "Ryan pled guilty. Looks like we both get to move on." There was no bitterness, just relief and a sense of shared survival. We traded a few more stories, shook our heads at how insane it all was, and agreed to meet for coffee again soon. Not as victims, not as survivors, but as two people who refused to let the past define them. Meanwhile, Madison's world kept shrinking. She posted endless rants online, blaming everyone but herself. "My ex ruined my life," she'd write, or "Men are all liars." I didn't respond. I didn't have to. The silence was my answer. A week later, the building manager called. "She's been sleeping in her car again, Ethan. Should we call someone?" I shrugged. "Do what you need to. She's not my problem anymore." I boxed up the last of her things, a stack of old magazines, some broken jewelry, a few sad memories. I set the box outside the building with a note, "Take what you want. The past is yours." It felt good. Clean. Like closing a wound. On a whim, I booked a weekend trip out of the city, no plans, just a bag and my car keys. Driving across the bridge, I rolled the windows down and let the wind rip through everything that used to be my life. I didn't know where I was going, but for the first time in a long time, that didn't scare me. Looking back, I realized Madison had always been the storm, the chaos, the distraction. Now she was just a memory, loud, ugly, and powerless. I was free to build something new from the ashes she left behind. It's funny how quickly life fills the empty spaces when you finally let go of the people who poison them. I spent that weekend out of town, no plans, no schedule, just me, a change of clothes, and a notebook I'd forgotten I even owned. I wrote down everything, the betrayal, the chaos, the humiliations. By the time I finished, the pages were full of anger, but also clarity. Madison was out of my system. The venom was gone. When I got back to the city, my apartment felt brand new. The silence wasn't lonely anymore, it was peace. I replaced the last of our old furniture, scrubbed every surface until it gleamed, and hung up a cheap painting from a flea market just because it made me laugh. Tyler stopped by, took one look at the place, and said, "Man, you're finally back. Never thought I'd see the day." I grinned, feeling lighter than I had in years. The news about Madison trickled in over the next few days. She'd tried to stay with a friend, but nobody wanted her drama. Even the people who used to believe her lies had finally had enough. She was just a shadow now, drifting from couch to couch, living in her car, sometimes trying to stir up pity online. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. She'd built her own prison, one burnt bridge at a time. Work got easier. I poured my energy into new projects, started mentoring a junior guy who reminded me of myself before all this. People stopped tiptoeing around me, the whispers and stares faded. It was just normal life again, but better, because this time, I was the one in control. Tyler dragged me out to basketball every Saturday, and I found myself laughing without forcing it, trash-talking and sweating, just happy to be alive. I even started seeing someone. Nothing serious, no pressure, just coffee, walks, stories shared with no need to hide or apologize. She listened. She laughed. She didn't play games. I realized that's what I'd been missing all along, honesty, even in the smallest things. If I learned anything from Madison, it's this: never settle for less than respect. Love without honesty is just another kind of prison, and if someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I wasted years hoping Madison would change, twisting myself inside out trying to be what she wanted, just so I wouldn't have to face the truth. But the truth set me free, even if it ripped me open first. There's one more thing I'd say to anyone living through this hell: you're stronger than you think. The pain is real, the humiliation burns, but on the other side is something nobody can take from you: self-respect. Don't beg. Don't chase. Let the liars go, even if it means being alone for a while. You'll heal, and when you do, the world opens up in ways you couldn't imagine with a snake coiled in your life. Madison's name is just a bad memory now, a warning sign in my mind. I don't hate her, I don't feel anything at all. She taught me how to spot poison, how to survive it, and how to build something better once it's gone. The city looks different, brighter. I look in the mirror and finally recognize the man staring back. If you're stuck in your own nightmare, don't wait for the perfect moment to get out. It won't come. Take the chaos, the anger, the heartbreak, use it. Burn the old life down if you have to. On the other side is freedom, and you'll know it when you taste it. That's my story. Not a sob story, not a warning, just a record of what happens when you finally get up, kick the poison out, and choose yourself. I'm Ethan. I survived. And I wouldn't trade this peace for anything.